Hello, how are you doing? My name is Otto and welcome back to the channel. Having so many gimbals on the market makes it kinda hard to choose one of them. And I often get the question about which gimbal do I recommend. And it usually comes down to what you're going to be using it for, your personal preferences, and also your budget. So today I'm comparing the DJI OM4 with the new Zhiyun Smooth Q3 and the new HOHEM iSteady V2. I also have the iSteady X over here, but because it is very similar to the iSteady V2, I am not going to be using it for the comparison. But towards the end of the video, I will mention the one thing where this one is a clear winner. These three gimbals are small and lightweight, but the iSteady is the smallest, and the OM4 and the Smooth Q3 are about the same size. In terms of weight, including the tripod, the iSteady V2 is also the lightest at 293 grams. The Smooth Q3 is 400 grams and the OM4 is the heaviest at 490 grams. These gimbals can be folded for easier transportation or storage, and the iSteady V2 remains being the smallest. In terms of how much weight they can support, they are very similar. The iSteady and the Smooth Q3 can hold phones up to 280 grams and the OM4 up to 290 grams. I also wanted to test the use of an external lens, so I have this one that weighs 70 grams and the case weighs 30 grams. Combined with the iPhone 12, the total weight is 280 grams. The OM4 and the Smooth Q3 didn't have any problems with this, but the iSteady V2, let's just say that it didn't like to have the weight unbalanced. The stabilization on these gimbals is very solid. All of them have 3-axis, and I highly recommend getting one of these instead of a 2-axis gimbal. The OM4 and the Smooth Q3 have long arms, and the iSteady has this short tilt arm compared to them, and this will limit the tilt movement like this. All these gimbals have a great battery life, but there's some confusing information all over the internet, and I was able to test the maximum battery life on each one by having them on standby mode. And just to make it clear, the standby mode is something like this, where the gimbal is on holding the smartphone but is not really moving or doing anything. With that in mind, the OM4 and the Smooth Q3 lasted for 15 hours and the iSteady V2 lasted for 9 hours. The OM4 and the iSteady V2 can be used as a power bank to charge your smartphone with a USB cable. The OM4 has to be on for this to work, and the iSteady V2 can be on or off, making it more versatile as this becomes like a regular power bank. On the other hand, the Smooth Q3 cannot do this, but who cares? You can get one of these, right? Setting up and balancing these gimbals is quite easy. The OM4 has this magnetic clamp that you place on your phone, making it easier to set up than the other gimbals with the traditional clamp. And it's so easy, just like this. So it's kind of like an in and out all the time. At the top of the clamp of the Smooth Q3, we have this small field light with 3 levels of brightness. It's not too bright, but it's going to be useful in very low light situations, and this light can rotate to face forward or yourself. The iSteady V2 has a similar field light with also 3 levels of brightness, but it doesn't flip around like the one on the Q3. I'm going to place the two of them side by side at the maximum brightness so you can see the difference between them. The OM4 doesn't have a field light, and I think at this point it's pretty obvious that this field light has been made with vloggers in mind. Besides the field light, the iSteady V2 also has this AI sensor, which is this part that looks like a camera. This sensor will allow you to track a subject even if you're not using their app. This means that you can use any app for this. You can live stream, make video calls, and shoot videos with whatever app you want. You can even place a different kind of camera like a GoPro. I don't have a GoPro, so let's imagine that this is one of those. So you don't need the smartphone, you don't need to select anything on the screen, this is just going to track you. Can you imagine this? You would be getting the stabilization of a mechanical gimbal, and now the GoPro is going to track you everywhere. Look at this. This is just amazing. The tracking is very good. It is going to track you even if you turn around, and this just has to be the major selling point of the iSteady V2. Alright, so build quality on these gimbals is very good. The iSteady V2 has some texture here in the back, but the ergonomic grip and feel on the OM4 and the Smooth Q3 just feels better in my hand. They both have soft rubber material on the handle, and when you grab it, the controls are easy to access without relying on the tripod like you have to do on the iSteady. All these gimbals have a joystick and a few buttons that will start and stop recording, recenter the camera, switch to horizontal or vertical mode, and so on. They all have a zoom slider on the left side. The one on the iSteady is my least favorite because it is very small and it usually slips off the finger. The OM4 and the Smooth Q3 have a trigger on the front that will do different things depending on the gimbal. Having a trigger in the front is a benefit since this is a great position for easier access. And one thing that I absolutely like about the Smooth Q3 is that without going into the menu, I can select all the different gimbal modes. It's also easy to know on what mode you are by just looking at the light indicator, and this makes this gimbal more user-friendly, especially if you're using the native camera app. The iSteady has a similar concept where you can select the mode by pressing two buttons at the same time, and in my opinion, the OM4 is the least friendly in this topic because you need to go into the menu to change any of the gimbal modes. All of these gimbals will support under-slung mode, and this will let you take low-angle shots by flipping the gimbal upside down. A sport mode is available on the OM4 and the Smooth Q3, and this will make the gimbal react faster to your movements for sport, action, or fast videos. The iSteady doesn't have this mode, but you can select the follow speed on the menu. You can select slow, medium, or fast, and that is something that you cannot do on these two gimbals. The Vortex mode is where the smartphone spins around, and they get different names on each gimbal, but it is the same concept. The Vortex mode on the OM4 and the Q3 is manual, meaning that you need to keep pushing the joystick for the smartphone to rotate, and it can rotate clockwise or counterclockwise. On the iSteady, it is automatic, meaning that once you select it, it is going to start spinning by itself, and it only does it in one direction, which is clockwise. Inside their corresponding app, they all have object and face tracking, and it works really good. The Smooth Q3 with my Samsung S21 Plus sometimes has a few issues where the app will lose the subject, but this doesn't happen often, and it doesn't happen at all when I use my iPhone. With the app, you can select the camera mode that you want to use. They all have photo mode, video mode, time lapses, dolly zoom, and slow motion. Hyperlapses and panorama shots are only available on the OM4 and the Smooth Q3. If you have an iPhone, you can shoot at 24, 25, 30, or 60 frames per second, and you can also select manual controls to control the ISO and the shutter speed. For Android users, you cannot select a slow motion, and on the iSteady and on the OM4, you can only shoot at 30 frames per second inside their app. But the app of the Smooth Q3 is going to support 24 and 30 frames per second. Let's talk about prices. The OM4 is $149, and yeah, it is the most expensive one. You're getting the magnetic clamp for easy on and easy off, and the ergonomic is going to be, in my opinion, the best to hold. And using the DJI Mimo app is a little bit more consistent than the other apps for these gimbals. The iSteady V2 is probably the next step in gimbal's evolution. The independent tracking sensor is great, so you're paying for this gimbal $129, which is a little bit expensive, but nobody has this technology right now. And the Zhiyun Smooth Q3 also has an amazing handle. It has the fill light, and I really like the mode button that lets me change the different gimbal modes. The Smooth Q3 is going to be $89, and I feel that this is a very nice price for everything that this has to offer. Alright, so just to recap, this one is $149, $129, and $89 US. But let's not forget about this one. This one is the iSteady X, and this one is only $69. Sometimes even cheaper. I've seen this go down to $50 or so at Amazon, and it is a good gimbal. It's almost the same as the V2, but it doesn't have the sensor, battery life is smaller, and you cannot use this as a power bank. So for the price, this one is going to be a good gimbal if you don't care about anything else that these others have to offer. Let me know in the comments down below which one do you have or which one do you like the most. And I'm also going to give one of these completely new to one lucky winner. I'll explain everything on the comments down below, but for now, please take care, have an amazing day, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.